I just want to say thanks for your willingness to do this. We tell you guys all the time that sharing your story is part of the process, right? Because you know there's purpose in what you've been through, and so we want these guys to have some insight onto some of the circumstances, the situation you went through, so that as they make their rounds and see people that are experiencing homelessness, they have some context that people can change. So share with these guys what was going on in your life before you got to the mission.
Well, first of all, I grew up here in San Diego, born and raised. And in 2013, we moved to Florida. And around September of 2022 was Hurricane Ian hit the west coast of Florida, straight onto the island where I was living, and I lost everything, except for my life and my two cats. Eventually, 3 days after the hurricane, I was flown off the island and then flew back to San Diego to be with family.
Who was here? Mom, dad, brothers?
Mom, let's see, mom, sister, nephews, grandkids, 2 kids. And realized that I didn't have any support and ended up being homeless. And
So tell us how you found the San Diego Rescue Mission.
well, after 2 years of struggles of being homeless, trying to work, 4 attempts at suicide, and drinking a little bit too much, God put His plan into motion for me and let me know that it was His turn and it was my turn to accept Him in my life and change my life. So I ended up 3 months at Freedom Ranch, and literally the day that I got to Freedom Ranch, God took over my life. And
Where's Freedom Ranch?
Freedom Ranch is in I just drew a blank, Campo. Okay, way out by Lake Moreno. And He had a plan for me, told me what I was going to give Him and do for Him. Then He told me what He was going to do for me. And never thought I'd start reading the Bible and understand it. And He said that I was going to read the Bible, which I picked it up 2 hours after I got to Freedom Ranch. And He said I was going to be reading it, not when I wanted to, when He wanted me to. Not realizing that was going to be 6 to 8 hours a day. And He completely took over my life. And after 90 days at Freedom Ranch, He said, okay, His plan for me was done, and He wanted me to continue this mission, and so what better place to send me but to the mission.
So it was the staff at Freedom Ranch that recommended you, referred you to Mission Academy, and that's how you got in?
Well, I actually was supposed to go to a sober living facility, a house to share with several men, and it just didn't seem right. And I was supposed to interview for a place the next day, and I left my manager's office that was handling my case at Freedom Ranch. And he called me about an hour later and he says, plans have changed. He says, tomorrow you're going to come to my office and you've got an interview with this lady named Crystal at the mission.
Yeah, that's Crystal Hernandez, for those of you that are on the staff. She's our intake manager. So when anybody new comes into Mission Academy, they have to meet with Crystal first, and she does a screening just to make sure that you understand what you're getting into and that you are able to perform activities of daily living and go to class and kind of understand the commitment.
Yeah, so the next day I met on the phone with Crystal, and it was about a week later I met her in person, checked in the mission, and started my journey, or continued my journey.
Way to go. We're super proud of you because, you know, you've been through it. This isn't something that you can just snap your fingers and fix. It takes a lot of hard work. And so I want you to think back on your 12 months with us. You just graduated, just walked across the stage in a cap and gown. You look good, by the way. You see your picture? Just walked across the stage. So what do you think back on your 12 months with us? What's your biggest takeaway? What did you learn the most in the classes, the devotions, the chapel, you had to have a chore. There were things that we required you to do. It was very structured, right? We have a lot of rules. What did you learn the most in your 12 months with us?
Well, first of all, not to correct you, but I spent 5 months at the mission.
You're only there 5 months?
5 months, and completed
You're on
the
the fast track. You're on the fast track.
I was on the fast track, and his fast track. What I learned at the mission, well, first thing I realized is that I could trust people again, and that there were actually authentic, real people there that really cared about me and where I was coming from and what I had been through, and wanted to help me the best they could to get me through a program and get through the healing process of what I've been through.
Don't miss that. You know, he's sharing it in the context of being in a facility with lots of organization and classes and just learning to trust people again. These outreach workers would tell you that the biggest obstacle that they have to overcome every day when they engage people sleeping on the streets is got to get them to trust us. Got to get them to trust that if you get in the van and we take you somewhere that you're not going to have a bad shelter experience, that you're not going to get beat up, your stuff's not going to get stolen. One of the things I've learned in my 9 years in this role is that there's a lot of people experiencing homelessness. It doesn't look rational. It doesn't look like, that's sustainable. And you drive by and you think, gosh, how much longer? Well, they've had a bad shelter experience, many of them. And so for them, being able to control your situation in that setting of on a sidewalk or under a bridge is much more comfortable than the reality and the importance of actually getting you inside so we can change your life. So how important is trust as you guys engage people sleeping on the streets? It's fundamental, right? So share with these guys what you're doing now. Where are you living? What are you doing? What's going on in your life? You've been out since you moved out. Well, I guess 5 months after you came in, 5 months after you got there. So then you came back and walked graduation. So what are you doing now?
Well, I'm still visiting the mission as a guest in a Bible study class that I was taking while I was there, and trying to help other students get through what I've been through.
They call that a volunteer. Good job.
And right now I live in a apartment complex for veterans, and which pretty much right after I got there, I started a men's ministry, and just got done applying for Southern California Seminary. That's his plan.
There we go. Well, you certainly have a story that will inspire anybody that you share it to. And so last question, share it with. Last question is, I want you to think back on when you were in Florida and the hurricane came rumbling through. You lost everything. Had to be a moment of just complete hopelessness and what do I do next? Where do I go next? What would Jesse today tell Jesse 4 years ago that was about to experience the hardest time of his life? What would you say to him?
Well, knowing what I know now, I would tell him, don't be like Jonah and keep running from Christ. It's his arms are around you, and he embraces you every day. Learn to embrace him and live for him, not the world.
Well done, Jesse. Jesse Fortune.